Live,
Live,
live.
live, live.
Welcome to the jungle where we rumble every day.
You know what? I love everything about this. First of all, hey y'all, how's your spirit today? This is something we're doing, fun, different. I know I'll be out and I'll be in, but you know what? We here now. So what we're doing is I am sitting down and going through the Sultra system with one of my favorite people to ever have gone through the Sultra system and that I get to spend time with. And this is my amazing sister, client turned sister, friend, all the things in between. Tiffany Vaughn, who's in the building. Purr, 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 purr. Thank you. And I'm gonna let her introduce herself in a second. So Tiffany and I are gonna take you through what it's like to trust ourselves more deeply as Black women leaders. And to do so, we're going to be going through what's called the self trust system, which is the system that I've co created with my husband and we've used with our clients since 2021, really, to transform their lives. And Tiffany was one of the first people to ever go through that system. So it's going to be really cool to see her go through it now, too, as we have made some tweaks and changes. So that's what we're doing. And today we're gonna go through step number 8, which is discomfort by design. Because I don't know about y'all, but the way I've been needing to step into the divine discomfort and to like just let the thing help me grow and not let it shrink me. So I feel like this is really, really aligned with where I'm at and why I wanted to do this. Tiffany, welcome aboard.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Super excited to be here. Obviously, I agreed to this live, and then I was just like, "Oh wait, are we doing what we agreed? We doing what we say we would? Okay, all right. Let me get a hat. I probably actually would be like, let me fix my light. You know, I was, that's this is what leaning into discomfort really looked like. That's a little better
You
light.
know what I
That
mean?
looked like I was ready. Adjusting on the fly. That's what leaning into discomfort is.
Listen. Okay, so you got your journal, you did your stuff. To give y'all some context, the Subtra system, which is a system that I told you I co-created, it has 9 steps, and the 8th step is discomfort by design, and that's all about. Matter of fact, I'm curious on you, like when you heard it and went through this part of it, Tiffany. Like, what did you? How was it? First of all, how was doing the assessment? Because we also are assessing ourselves. Yeah, we have an assessment we're going to be doing at the end of the system to see how we did. So, how was doing the assessment for you?
The assessment was reflective. It was good. It was it was dealing with discomfort to do the assessment because I was supposed to have done it to for us to have this conversation today, and I had glanced at it, but then life got busy and I didn't get to do it. So I actually just completed it this morning. So it was reflective. I also was thinking like, you don't have to do this assessment if you don't want to do this assessment. So lean into doing the assessment. So my answer was like, Tiffany, one word. Da-da-da. This is like I waited too long, so here's a task I need to do. So
Mm.
the more I got into it though, I was just like, this is for you. And you can choose to not do it if you don't want to. So if you want to do it, do it. And so it was good. I love that it had like some rankings, so like a few different modalities. So like this number, rank yourself,
Mhm.
self-awareness, and then some short answers. So I was like, okay, she knew she was doing. She mixed it up, she keeping me awake. So it was good. It was really good to just get I had the system pause, plan, play to win. So it was a pause. And I was
Mhm.
just like, I
Mhm.
deserve a pause as well to just think about my thoughts and don't have to be in the driver's seat. I could just be the receiver.
Yes, yes. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm sharing this on Threads, y'all, because I feel like we're going to just, learn publicly. Um, which is so hard for me because I like to. I feel like I have learned to live in that area where like I gotta look like I got it together all the time. So this is really about like me being okay, not like how I feel about a background. Like if you see me for the first time, you may not know, but I be like really anal about the aesthetics of other things and not. because that's not the energy we are right now. So it's like just letting go of those attachments to the perfectionism. Like it's just so aligned with talking about discomfort. So when I did the assessment, I was like, I sensed some energy of judgment. I feel like that's one of the biggest energies I've been noticing as I was doing the workbook and going through the videos. It was just like, hey, I judge myself a lot for the smallest things, for the big things. Like it's just this energy of judgment is very, very strong. And I noticed that when I was doing the assessment, I'm like, the dialogue that I was hearing was, you have this thing and you don't use it. You have this thing and you don't use it regularly, or you have this thing and you're not capitalizing on it, right? And learning to just hear that without taking it personally and without being like, okay, I hear that, but I don't have to live in that frequency. I can learn and grow from it. That was really interesting, kind of going through the assessment, because I made the assessment.
Exactly. You know, they say it's easier to preach it than to practice it. And sometimes that can be true, but I also think that you're always living it. And so maybe I think that when we create things, we think we have to be living it perfectly. But the fact that you made it, when Nipsey says it's not on you, it's in you. So you live it. You know, it's just like, how can we live
Period.
it even better? How can we live it? You know, we feel like we have to have 100% strict compliance to a thing. Remember when I had She Plays was a brand that I had for a while, and it was possesses love, ambition, youthfulness, and slays. And I
I
used
really
to
like
think
that brand
that
too. Yeah.
it was cute. It was a movement. It was a thing when it was a thing. And I remember somebody saying, you think everybody got to be, you know, love, ambition, youthfulness, and slaying. Sometimes if they just do one of them, they still winning in comparison to
Yeah.
where they were. And so I think that that's an opportunity to give ourselves some grace, because you live it, because you made it, because you are it. So, and then maybe that was a benefit to doing it sleepy, because I didn't judge myself. I was just like, it is what it is. You're gonna answer. Like, you do what you get. You don't throw. You at where you at. And so
Exactly. Okay, so part of this process, y'all, is we watch a set of videos every week. There's a set of videos that we watch, and the end of the videos, they have like, in the videos, there's some reflection questions. There's a workbook that's at the end of the videos, and we go through it, and then we're gonna share our answers to those questions here in real time, which I think it's really an embodiment of self-trust. You know, we talk about leading and we talk about being vulnerable and we talk about showing up. So the fact that we were like, all right, we'll do it and we'll do it live. And we really were just like, all right, fine. And now I'm in it and I'm like, at any moment I could shut this down.
facts, big facts.
At any moment we could shut this down.
And delete it.
But also being willing to be like, all right, let's move to the discomfort, especially like, you know, talk about discomfort. Let's move to the discomfort of like talking through these answers. Did you watch the videos?
I did.
Okay, good. I watched the videos too.
So
for let's start with like the first one where first, what did you think about the videos?
I love that they were short, digestible, right? I thought that that was cool. I love that they built on one another, and just the idea of like tying it to self care. You know, that was a consistent theme. Um, and I think sometimes, like when we think about designing discomfort or designing our lives for discomfort, we think about self care. We think about a massage or facial. We don't think about designing for discomfort, but that is so much more powerful and so much has such a wider ripple effect over your life than just, I won't call a facial a band-aid because I need one right now. But you know what I mean? A facial, go to the nail shop, go get your brows done, go do those things. Those are just temporal. But learning how to deal with discomfort or design how you're going to deal with discomfort before it even arrives, that is a long-lasting thing that can have a ripple effect across so many parts of your life, right? You might not need that massage because you don't have as much stress in your shoulders, you know, because you've learned how to deal with the discomfort. And change and challenge are always happening, you know, no matter, you can't avoid it if we tried. So the only people not changing are dying, or are the dead people, right? The only people that aren't physically changing. Even as we sit here, our cells are shedding, like our hearts are beating things that we're not even consciously
Yeah.
aware that's happening is what's keeping us
Yeah.
alive. And
Yeah.
so you can't avoid change, and many people find change discomforting.
Mhm.
Difficult conversations, setting boundaries, all those things that really help you design a life you love are rooted in discomfort. People will rather believe that there's no such thing as work-life balance than to
Mhm.
do the things required to get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uncomfortable things are required to get work-life
Mhm.
balance. You got to tell somebody, I'm not going to do that. You got to set a hard boundary. You got to maybe
Mhm.
take less money or take a jump, leave your job. All of those things create a level of discomfort. But they're really the things that make life worth living.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially because it's the reminder that oftentimes the thing that paralyzes us is the discomfort. Like oftentimes it's the discomfort of the reaction of other people, the discomfort of like not being liked. That's just a big thing for me. It really amazes me how big that is for me every time. Like I see it and showing up and manifesting. It just blows my mind because of how much I think I'm not like that, or how much I would like to not be like that, and how much recognize that it's not a way of being that serves me. So
Mhm.
it's an energy that I'm very, very stretched by anytime I see it, to be
Mhm.
honest. Like it really challenges me. Um, and I put down some quotes too as I was going through it. So the first exercise in the videos is to define the relationship with discomfort in one word. What was your word? You want to share your word?
Scary AF. But so I guess that's two words.
That is so red for you.
Break a little rule. Scary AF. Yeah.
Ooh, mine is evolving.
That's a lot more calm word.
I was
Probably
by the
rest.
river. I
Probably
was by
rest.
the river when I wrote it. I was by the river when I wrote it.
Yeah, dealing with discomfort is scary AF, because it's like for years, you and I have talked about this. Like, how do you, I will hear a thing. Most people don't listen to their intuition. They have an intuition. They have a, third eye. They have your
Mhm,
body is telling
mhm,
you almost instantly, right? God's
mhm,
voice. And we instantly, nah, you talk yourself out of it. And so that's why I
mhm.
said scary AF, because it's like just listening to it. You're almost like, I guess the world has told you maybe that's irrational, or you just went with your first mind. You didn't think about
Yeah,
that. You didn't do this. You didn't. It literally is all a effort of self trust. And so then for me, I know I could definitely be like, well, is that God's voice? Is that intuition?
yeah,
Is that you
yeah,
being reactive? Is that, how do you know? How do you know? How do
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I always tease and call it like the itty bitty smack talking committee, because that's the voice that comes after the
Mhm.
your initial instinct is probably your most true self. You will never
Yeah.
find 3-year-old saying, well, maybe I should phrase it a different way. Like, 3-year-old is like,
They
yeah, I'm
don't.
fine. That's what I thought. That's what I said. I said what I said. Standing on business. We're born standing on business, and then we walk
Yes.
ourselves backwards. So, yeah, I do think it's scary because, you're taught as you grow to be considerate, make sure you
Mhm,
care about other people's feelings, don't be
mhm,
selfish,
mhm.
all those things, which I think are good ways of being, because I definitely don't want all the super selfish, self-centered people to be like, yeah, they said I ain't got to feel no discomfort, so I'm gonna just do what I want. So that fine balance of just like
Mhm.
ensuring that you're living by who you want to be.
Yeah. I
Mm.
find that for me, like discomfort is always evolving because I recognize having been through doing this work for so many years, for really over 14 years now. Like I recognize that discomfort is important and that I grow the most in very uncomfortable situations. Even though I may not like being in those situations, I know that I grow being in those situations. And that's
Yeah.
the dance, right? Like I may not like all of it, but I know it's really good for me. And the more I am leaning into that, leaning into my intuition and letting that be the thing that guides me, the more I'm realized like, okay, I can evolve this relationship with discomfort and really going from a place where I used to think probably discomfort was bad, like anytime you felt uncomfortable, it meant that you were doing something that was bad, to understanding that discomfort is about range. Like discomfort is a teacher, like it's telling you something. what is it telling you? And how are you going to show up to that thing that is telling you? Which oftentimes what I have learned is avoid, right? Like avoid versus being like, nah, there's something here you can learn and we can like look at that thing without running away from it or treating it like less than.
Yeah.
So there were 6 questions in the assessment. So this is the assessment that we do when we're looking at discomfort in the Discomfort by Design module of the Circle System, or the Discomfort by Design step. So the first question, let me pull it up because I actually, you'll be doing something and you will recognize this because you're also a amazing executive coach. And did you ever introduce yourself? I don't even think you did. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey y'all, Coach Tiffany. I
Wait, what is this voice?
This is I'm still sleepy voice. Hey y'all,
I
Coach
love
Tiffany. What can I say? I don't even remember we was going live today. I don't got a speech for y'all.
You just tell who
workarounds, just helping people design lives and careers they love. And I say lives and careers because work is so much a part of our life. And I think that people tend to define themselves by what they do. So currently, I'm doing that work in the athletic space, working with elite athletes and coaches, helping them to navigate the changing terrain, the discomfort that is existing in college sports right now. And how can they do that? Do what they love with more ease, peace, and joy. But I've also done this work with women leaders. I've done this work with corporate leaders at Fortune 500 companies, at scrappy startups, all the things. So yeah, that's what I do. And we've lost Nori because.
No, you didn't lose me. I actually did a little producer moment for you and sent
Oh,
you.
period. Oh,
I thought
I need to keep talking. I need to keep talking.
No. Please. Okay, y'all. So, no, this is all like impromptu. Boom. So I'm gonna share my screen. There we go. A little production situation going here for y'all.
Right. It's got fancy real quick, y'all.
Fast. Okay, so this is the questions that are part of the assessment. This is the first one. And it says, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not satisfied and 10 is the most satisfied ever, how satisfied are you with the way you're taking responsibility for your actions right now? I'm at an 8. Where are you at?
Yeah, I was actually at an 8 on this one too. I don't have a problem taking responsibility for my actions. I probably have. We'll get to the other questions. I'll just say I'm at an 8 as well. The taking responsibility, I've got that one down.
Okay, great. I'm at an 8 too. I recognize that there's room there for me to grow too. I think that there are spaces where I'm not taking responsibility to the degree that I could. I think I'm recognizing what those are and like allowing myself to, move through it. Okay, the next question is here. Boom. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not satisfied and 10 is the most satisfied ever, how satisfied are you with the way you're making your decisions right now? This was a really good one. I actually put down I'm at a 10. I feel really good about the way I'm moving right now. I feel really good. I'm like, I say I move through my intuitive insight and I let that guide me. And I'm doing that right now out of 10. So
that is amazing. I said a 2. I'm probably it's the opposite. Like, remember I said, taking responsibility for the fact that I'm at a 2, not a hard thing. A 2 is probably, as you started explaining why for your 10, I was like, oh, maybe I'm being too hard on myself. I'm probably at a 5. But
okay.
How satisfied are you? Oh, how satisfied. There you go. So I think that's the word. How satisfied am I with the way I'm making decisions? Yeah, I'm at a 2. Like, I'm not satisfied with the way I'm making decisions at all. Like, I'm just like, girl, this could be so much better and so much simpler, so much easier, so much. You could just lead into the discomfort of it all and just do the things. Like, I am straight up avoiding discomfort in so many ways. Discomfort of
Mm,
discipline that I need to get things done, discomfort of just trusting myself and being able to ride some stuff out solo, discomfort of I'm just yeah, so I'm not satisfied with the way that I'm making
mm.
decisions right now. And that's so funny because on the outside looking in, people will be like, "She killing it," and, I'm just like,
That's the part that people don't even realize. Like when you in it, especially when you're in it as a Black woman, like oftentimes people have no idea how you're dealing with in the back end because it looks so good in the front end, especially to them. So they're like, "Oh, it's you don't need nothing. You like everything is going perfectly," but they don't realize how much that's actually impacting you and how burnt out you might be, how exhausted you might be, how out of alignment you might be with the true version of you because they approving of you so much. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's real talk. All right, put a little asterisk next to that too. We're gonna come back to it later.
I ain't even mad at it. I feel like it's just awareness. I think it's
Exactly. That's exactly what we want. And that's the purpose of even doing this too. It's like it's not about, oh, we need to go from a 2 to a 10. It's like we got a 2. Let's see what gets us there, what puts us in that place, and what does it look like for us to shift out of that in a way that feels sustainable and joyful for us and satisfying. Because that's really the thing. Like if you feel satisfied, it's a sign you're trusting yourself because you're satisfied. You're satisfied with how you're moving. All right, the next one, number 3, is on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not satisfied and 10 is the most satisfied ever. How satisfied are you with the way you're embodying your boundaries right now?
Yeah, for this one, I'm at like an 8.5, 9. I'm doing pretty good with this. I'm just if I don't wanna, I'm not. And there's some areas where I definitely like when it comes to like making money or work, that's probably that little 1.5 where I'm just still well, I'm getting closer to a 10 because I'm exhausted in a way. So it's like I, it is what it is. My favorite B word is boundaries.
I just sang it in my head. My favorite word. For me, I put a 7. I'm at a 7 with boundaries. I recognize that in this season of my life, there are a lot of situations going on at once that are very uncomfortable. And one of the things I've learned to do in the scenario is the boundaries are the first thing that starts. One of the things that's the collapse. It's like my ability to say no to everybody. I get decision fatigue. So I'm like, all right, I'm saying no here, I'm saying no there, I'm staying grounded here, I'm staying grounded there. Like it starts to really poke at my insecurities. It starts to really poke at the holes in my decisions and in my values and all the other things. And boundaries are the embodiment of what it begins to happen. Like I start to say yes when I want to say no. And that starts to like really take a hit. So I'm at a 7 on that right now on
Yeah.
boundaries.
I think I decided like if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And for those
Mhm.
things I'm there.
Love that. Love that. Okay, number 4. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not satisfied and 10 is the most satisfied ever, how satisfied are you with the way you're giving yourself grace right now? I'm at a 10 on that. I feel like I am pouring and outpouring and pouring some more grace upon myself at all moments of the day. Like I am not holding back on grace right now at all.
Yeah. we gotta catch me on a not sleepy day. It's so interesting. Yeah, I just like my caption might as well be "Girl, do better." This bad, like just do better.
We're accepting
And
ourselves.
it should be at a 10. I mean, and I guess maybe it's day to day. It's like I'm not necessarily beating myself up about it, but I am looking like, girl, you sure about that decision? So yeah, I feel like grace is bountiful in some ways, but as of the time I took this assessment, 2 is the number.
Well, you know what? We're gonna take that And we're gonna move for we gonna accept that too. Thank
Yeah,
you too
but
for being here.
and honestly, I feel like this is the one that can jump up the quickest. I think that I can go from 2 to 10 real quick here. This doesn't take a lot of work. This is just a decision. So
Yes.
I feel like this is, and maybe they all are, maybe they all are just a decision. But for Grace especially, I feel like this is just like in this moment, I could just be like, all right, I'm a 10 too. Because then I could because you could just decide that where
Yeah.
you at is where you're supposed to be, what you're doing is good enough, that everything is how it's supposed to be because that's exactly where you are, that you're perfectly
Mm-hmm.
made, period. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
honestly, when I say it, I just, okay, I'm at a 10 now. Like, it's just like magic. So, I
And
mean,
you know what?
I think that
That
grace
that
is that one that is so essential to all the others. I think that
mm-hmm.
grace is the thing that helps you to be where you are. I think that when grace is low, that means you're not being present. You're thinking about what
Mm-hmm.
was. You're thinking about what's next. You're not thinking about the
Mm-hmm.
present moment. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think grace is really tied to gratitude. And so if you just lean into gratitude, I
Mm.
think that the grace number can shift quickly. So okay, I take my 10. I take my 2 back.
Ah! I love it. That's the beautiful thing. And I'm glad that you brought up the thing about like grace is something that I can just decide. Because
Mhm.
ultimately, all of these are decisions that we make. Like we can decide. Some of these decisions we're better at them than others, or we have had more reps. So we move them with a different level of degree each than others, but they're all like decisions at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Okay, so the next one is, and honestly, as you watching this, for whoever does watch it, because I do know at some point somebody's gonna watch it. Like answer these questions too for yourself, like actually like assess yourself. Like how are you? Where are you in these things? Because this is how you begin the process of looking at how you navigate discomfort. Like this is it. And discomfort is gonna happen. We live a life, it's an uncomfortable life. So, you know, learning to navigate is gonna bring more ease and joy into your life. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not, sorry, were you gonna say something?
I say absolutely.
Mm-hmm. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not satisfied and 10 is the most satisfied ever, how satisfied are you with the way you are reframing your reality right now? This is another 10 for me. I feel like it's probably hand in hand with the fact that grace is a 10 and decisions are a 10, that reframes are also a 10. Because reframed is the only way I'm able to right now be existing like joyfully. It's the only way. Like with everything I have going on, and I haven't really shared much of what I have going on here on the channel, y'all. But like my mom has been sick, and I've been caring for her. I've been her caregiver for the last quarter, and it's been really challenging to shift into that. So reframe is the only way I've been able to like do it. So I'm at a 10 with the reframes for sure right now.
It's funny because you say your reframe being a 10 is tied to the other 10s. My reframe is also a 10, but it's tied to my twos because even though my twos are
Ooh.
my twos, I don't believe in like staying in below the line energy for too long. So I'll be there. I accept it. Okay. But you said something earlier about you said something, and I don't remember what you said, but my response to that was going to be emotions are not instructions, they're information. So when you're feeling a way, you get to choose what to do with that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling like I'm not giving myself grace. Okay, I can either continue to not, or I can decide
Mm-hmm.
to, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that the emotions are information, not instructions. And so often we think reactively, like I'm sad, so this means I got to, or I'm mad, so this means I got to, or I'm grieving, so
Mm-hmm.
this means I got to, or I'm happy, so this means I got to. None of it
Mm-hmm.
means that you got to anything. You get to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
my reframe
Mm-hmm.
is also at a 10 because it's just like I'd be like, all right, girl, that was okay. How long you gonna be in the pity party? Okay, now you better. Okay, all right, okay, come on, you can do it. Sort of. And even that voice is condescending, which is why I say not enough grace, because I think when I'm in a lot of grace, then it's not that way.
Mm-hmm.
But my reframe game is strong.
Yeah, yeah, same. Then the last one is on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is the not satisfied and 10 is the most satisfied ever. How satisfied are you with the way you're living your values right now? I'm at a 7 here. when it comes to values, I generally recognize that just to even begin with the clarity of my values and what they are and which ones I'm focused on right now, I'm not able to answer that off the bat. Like I gotta go and look at a note, or I gotta go and look at a paper. So that immediately lets me know that there's a degree to which I'm not in my boundary energy, the way my value energy, the way I would desire, because that's part of where the process I'm in right now. And I'm also I'm also shifting into values, or like refining values as well. So I'm in that stage where integrating, which is what this is about actually. We didn't give no context on the software system, y'all, but this is if you ever want to know more about stuff, just drop it in the comments, and that will help me understand what you want to know and what can help you. But really what matters is that you're going through the process of asking yourself these questions. So like with me and values, I really sat with it. I sat with it and I'm like, now where am I with these values right now? Because it's cute to like want to be at a 10, and it's different to be clear with the fact that you're not there with something that is really matters to me. So I'm at a 7 on values right now.
Yeah, I'm conflicted on this one because I'm probably. Well, first, I'll tell a funny story. I remember when we first started working together years ago, you said, well, you have core values, right? And as a coach, I'm like, of course. What do you mean, do I have values? And then you're like, so when you're making decisions, do you refer to the values to help you make the decisions? And I was just like, oh, that's what those for. How you use those in a tangible way. Heard, chef. So um, two of my values are like peace and joy, right? So like those two values, I feel like my work that I'm doing right now is super aligned. Like I'm choosing
Mm-hmm.
what brings me joy, and in my work, merging my income with my impact is what brings me joy. I'm a CPA
Mm-hmm.
by trade, so I don't like to just, I could be a partner at one of the big four, three, however many of them it is that's left. I could have continued that road, but I've been an entrepreneur for 24 years. Just wild to say. 24? 22, 22.
Wow.
And so it's like, I just continue to reiterate what it looks like to move with peace and joy. And it's funny because some people, I was at a barbecue this summer, and my one of my best friend's cousins was like, Tiffany a hustler. She a vegan. I was like, why I gotta be a hustler? That doesn't seem to have a positive connotation. Just because I didn't stay at the same job for 20 years, I gotta be a hustler. But I think that people can't even conceptualize what it means to, like, unless you own the dry cleaners, or you own the
Mm-hmm.
that, and you owned, this thing, and you worked in that business, and you worked hard, and it looks like a job. And
Mm-hmm.
another cousin, this when I started doing this stuff with the kids, and I was posting stuff from the mayor's office, she was like, what do? You like a sports mom, celebrity? I'm like, I wish I was a celebrity. Where? All the things. So, but I mean, I just tend to move with things that bring me joy, and so I feel like on the joy side, I'm at a 10. On the
Mm-hmm.
peace side, I'm probably at much lower. And I think that is just because I allow outside things to dictate how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I am really working to not do that. Like, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what is going on around me, I just want to have a disposition of peace. And peace doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
there's no drama. It just means that, like, I'm unshakable. Like, I'm unbothered. I used to have this T-shirt that said "Unbossed, Unbound, Unbothered." Like, that's really what I want to be. I want to be unbossed, obviously. Like, I run my show. Unbound. Like, I'm not tied to the identity of any titles and to-dos. I'm not tied to the outcomes of other humans or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
unbothered. Just like, oh, that sucks, but all right. I have this like baseline of just like
Mm-hmm.
peace, and I have a clear disposition of like optimism, right? I'm always thinking that there's a better way. People are like, Coach Tiff, you always trying to look at the positive side. And I was like, you want to look at the negative side? You fuel what you focus on. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would probably say 7. I'll say 7.
All right. Like, we need a number. Okay, so the next part of the exercise was to give ourselves a rating, like a score. And when it was shared with me to do this piece, like, I was a little cautious of the score situation because I recognize that I like numbers and I do love to like score myself, and it can be easy to like get attached to that in a way because I like to play that game. At the same time, it's fun. So like, just that awareness that what we're doing here is for our betterment, and if we use those techniques for other stuff that is not serving us, then obviously we can use these techniques that work for me and work for us as women too, as leaders as well. So my score today is 52 out of 60.
Oh, I did not add up my numbers. Was I supposed to add up my numbers?
Yes, ma'am.
I must. Let's blame that on a sleep. I don't know what those numbers equal.
You had 2 for. I know there were 2 2s where I had 10s.
There are 2 2s and 8. Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably in like the 40 range.
The responsibility. Well, you can go back and watch this video to like get the actual numbers because literally we went through them, and then you can get your exact numbers. Because I know that you had 110, you had 2 2s, so that's already 24. There was 1 8, so that's 30 something. So you somewhere like in the 40s, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't add mine up.
Okay, so how does that number feel? Like, how does that range feel for you?
Accurate. But that's not a feeling, right? That's an adjective. The feeling is like,
is what comes up.
it feels like I'm giving myself grace, perfectly imperfect. I mean, again, I think awareness is a win. I don't know how I missed that. The awareness is a win. I just think I'm grateful that I went through with the exercise. That I actually listened to the videos. I took time to do it. I looked at the doing the activity as if it was a facial, as if it was, getting a massage, so that I'm really dedicating to spending some time with myself, even though it's easy to have self-work and work around your mindset feel like a task, a chore that is taking time away from the other important things. But I think there's nothing discomfort. I think there's nothing more important than leaning into yourself, and just like self-awareness is the first tenet of emotional intelligence. And people never want to talk about emotions, and the truth is you don't want to talk about emotions, but you want to show up better at work. Don't want to talk about emotions, but you want to not have your shoulders hurt and the body keeps score. So it's like, at the end of the day, the shortest verse in the Bible is Jesus wept. So even Jesus had emotions. It's totally fine. We all have them, and running from them doesn't make them go away. So I think just the awareness of, I'm gonna spend some time with me thinking about my thoughts.
Yeah.
We're not taught to think about our thoughts. And I think it's just it's a powerful move to help propel you to the next level. So for me, it's less about the score and more about I did the work. And so then, and it was uncomfortable because I didn't feel like doing it. But I did it because I know that it serves me. So then,
yeah. When I looked at the number, I was actually a little surprised. So for me, it was empowering and surprising, considering that I'm in a very challenging season right now in my life. And because of that and all the things I play, there was a part of me that was like, oh, I'm actually much better than I thought I was doing. And I love those moments too, because it's very, when you're in a situation, you can take 1 or 2 things. You can take the thing that you liked about it, or you can take the thing that you did not like about it. And the pattern that I have learned to engaging, and I'm recognizing more and more, is that I've learned to take the thing I don't like about it. So because of that, I could be in a situation and it's not that terrible or bad, or it might be a really great situation. Because I'm focused on the things I don't like, I see it through this lens of like, this is a terrible situation. I didn't get nothing out of it. Or what, I'm not saying I didn't get nothing out of it, but y'all get what I'm saying. Like I focus on the things I don't like. And now I'm in the space where I'm been really intentional, especially in this last quarter, on focusing on the things that I do like, and like staying grounded and what brings me joy, and being like, oh no, that's going on, but this is the blessing in the situation. And I've talked to you about this a lot in our work together. And I've been sitting in there and I've been sustaining it. So I recognized that this here was a materialization of that work, of that, like,
Yeah.
what do I like? What do I like? Let me stay in what do I like? Let me say what do I like? And continue to do that. I was like, I noticed that I thought I would be lower. Given everything I got going on, I love that for me.
I love that for you too. It's
I love
funny.
that for me.
I say like we fuel what we focus on. So if we want to focus on that, it's I don't like it. I don't like it. We're gonna get more evidence of why we shouldn't like it.
Exactly.
Because I do like it. I
Exactly.
do like it. Or searching for the one thing that you can like. You get more evidence of that. And so I think that that's just again, I didn't see my numbers bad. I did look at the twos. I didn't even see the twos as bad.
Hmm.
I just saw the twos as twos. Like that's where you at today. And,
I think your grace number is a little higher, and you don't even realize it. Well,
well,
that's what
remember
I'm
I
gonna
switched
say.
my grace number to 10. So I was like, my grace,
Oh
because
yes,
I was
yes,
like,
yes.
it's like I used to teach this class at United, and there was something. It was like one of the dispositions. I forget what it was related to, but it was like IWII. I It is what it is. IIWII. It is what it is. And so I think that in that, there's two different connotations. Depends on how something said. It's like it is what it is. Like I don't care, or it's like it is what it is. And my two was just like it is what it is. Like it is what it is. And it because I know it's not permanent. I know it's not static.
Hmm.
I know I can change it anytime I want. I know these things. So it's just like all right, you get to have it's like a rest day. You get to have a
Yeah,
cheat day on,
yeah,
you on a diet. So it's like, all right, well, today this is how you felt. And
yeah.
maybe if it said for the last 6 months, my whole thing would have been a little bit different, And I think that that's just
Hmm.
as humans, we get to allow ourselves to not always be on. You don't have to have a full number. Now, if your number is 20, then there's some interventions, a little bit of work you can do. But if your numbers to the sky, there's always a place to elevate from where you are. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. Okay. I love that. The next thing we talked about was mastering the art of being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Now that's always like a little bit of a cliche situation because we talk about you gotta be comfortable being uncomfortable. But if you are a leader, you watching this, or if you are thinking about going into leadership, like it's true. Like it's just what it is. Because we just talked about all the ways in which things are uncomfortable. And for us, particularly like as women, I think that's one of the things that I have gotten such a deeper understanding of and like just a deeper grounding around. It's how uncomfortable it is to prioritize myself and how much have I learned that contrast the idea that prioritizing myself is the right move for me. In culturally
Mhm.
speaking, being from Honduras and a part of the Garifuna culture, I think more like the Latin American influence is very much like the man, like very like serve the man, whatever you do for. It leans quite a bit in traditional roles, and I tend to rebel against those roles a lot because I don't like that energy, even though it may help me, right? Because that's something else. Like you rebelling sometimes against stuff that can really actually help you, but because you're so busy rebelling, you're not trying to get the help because you don't realize that they can actually help you because you're too busy rebelling. I be in that energy
Mm.
too, so I know that vibe
Mhm.
as well. So I feel like in looking at discomfort and letting myself expand into myself and like take ownership over my gifts and really be in that energy, I'm just seeing more and more how like uncomfortable it is to do that and how much I'm thinking about what people might be thinking about me, how much it triggers the fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of success, like
Mm.
all of these different things. And it's just been really eye opening to see and to recognize all the ways that, yeah, like being uncomfortable is like such a blessing for your growth, even if you don't like it, even if you don't want to do it. So
Yeah.
that section on discomfort by on being mastering being comfortable being uncomfortable was actually a really really great reminder that I got. Like I think I wrote down here, discomfort is the foundation on which self trust is built. The funniest thing about this, y'all, is that I created the system, so I think it's really fun that I write my notes down and then like I say YP as the source because I like to tag the sources on my quotes on my notebook.
That's cute. That's
I was having a moment with that too, in a whole different layer. But yeah, I really took a lot away from that section as a reminder
yeah.
for me.
I tend to talk in mic drops or sound bites. I just was like, I wrote nothing great grows in the comfort zone. And then there's
Mm.
a thing that I usually say about how ships are safe at the dock, but that's not where they're meant to be. And so it's just
Love
like,
that
well,
one.
you know, the planes are safe on the ground, but that's not what they meant for. So same sort
Mhm.
of thing. It's just like get comfortable being uncomfortable. Again, I think that's a lived experience, and I think that we get to decide how long it feels uncomfortable for. I think the more you get comfortable with being in discomfort, it's not actually uncomfortable anymore. So
Exactly.
you're used to it, and for some people that's hard because I think some of us have some people have experienced so much trauma they don't even know what joy feels like. I remember when I did do She Plays, there was women that was like, I never was even able to play as a kid because I would say like to go back to nostalgia. Remember what it was? We didn't play as a kid. I never been able to play.
Mm.
And no judgment to that, but it was just like because they hadn't had that experience, they didn't even know what play or joy meant. Like
Yeah.
all they knew was work. And so I'm
Mhm.
not saying that we should learn to be happy with discomfort but I am saying it's a reality. And so again, as I seek to have peace be my baseline, it's just like I have a short memory. They say like have a memory of a goldfish. So I just don't hold on to things. It's hard. I don't hold grudges against people. Like if I gotta hold a grudge against you, we probably just shouldn't talk no more because I don't even know
Mm.
how to still be mad about something 3 days later. It's like we either gonna talk about it and finish it or yeah. I don't
I
know
love
how.
that for you because I
That's
know
what
how to
my
hold a
cousin
grudge.
said. She's like, oh, I could hold a grudge.
I
I'm just
know
like,
how to,
a
girl. I
grudge
know
so
how to hold a
heavy.
grudge.
Mhm.
Back when listen, I used to hold a grudge so on purpose. Like, I used to hold the grudge so hard. Like,
Mhm.
if I was changing phones, my biggest nightmare was that my text messages would be deleted and I would need a source of evidence and I would no longer have it.
No,
That's how hard I was holding on to grudges. Like,
no.
that was one of the biggest vices I was engaging in, holding
That's
on to
so
grudges.
interesting.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never been able to hold on to a grudge. I can't stay. When I was married, there was never we never like people say they don't talk to their spouse. Like when they mad, like we walked around this house, we didn't talk to each other for a week. We never not talked to each. There was never a single day. Like
Mm.
we were together for we were together for 20 years. I won't say there was never a day in the 20 years, but the 12 years we were married, there was never a single day that we didn't talk. Like we just walk around with the silent treatment. I don't even understand that. But you know what's so interesting? There probably should have been days that we didn't talk. Maybe
Yeah,
it would have worked better.
yeah,
Maybe
because
it would
as
have
you're
worked out
telling me
better.
this,
But
mind
I
you,
just don't know how to hold a grudge. I think that it's like
oh,
mean. I
yeah.
don't know. I don't know what to do with that. This is not in me.
I love that for you. I know how to hold one, and because I know how to hold one, I've been really intentional about learning how to let that energy go. Part of it for me, it's the avoid the managing up, like the constant like I'm managing up, so I'm threading. Some of my friends say this is part of like the Libra archetype because my zodiac sign is the Libra, and Libras tend to be very like balanced. And oftentimes, what's happening is that we are internalizing. We're not saying it outwardly because we may not think that the person is ready and we want to spare their feelings of it. So we soak it internally. And then we have all this resentment against them. And then what we are as we are internalizing that, the resentment can transmute into grudge towards that person. So I can see, I've seen myself engage in that pattern for sure. So I know I do it.
That makes
Um,
a lot of sense because as a Leo, we say what we think. So it's probably already off our chest and you already got to feel how you was gonna feel. So it's no need for me to hold a grudge.
yeah, you're like, I'm already off that.
Yeah, it's like it is
I'm, I'm already off that.
IWI. It is what it is. So like, I can't put the words back in. Again, that might be some impulse control that needs to wait a little bit, but maybe that's it. Because you already, it's out in the world. Like you did it, you said it, like lion, rah, like it's happened already. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's sometimes that's how it is, like learning about yourself. You gotta look. It helps to look at different lenses of yourself. And I'm not one to like generalize and be like Libras do this or da 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 do this.
Yeah.
However, I am gonna look at something and see if I do that, if I engage in that pattern. And I definitely have noticed engaging in the pattern. Today, I was, I was walking back from the park. I was listening to the videos for today, and at a point I was like, I just heard myself saying, I gotta get intentional about what goes on my scale. Like, how am I weighting these things up? Because the symbol for Libra is the scale, and
Mm-hmm.
they're constantly putting things on their scale, right? So I'm like, how am I determining what goes on my scale? Because I'm just letting shit get willy nilly on my scale, and that's determining how I make decisions, how I feel about myself, all these other things. And I'm like, yeah, I may want to like, what's up with that? So yeah. Okay. So in this section, there were some examples asking, like, here we go, y'all. Boom. Is it showing? Show my screen. Boom. There we go. So there was I shared some examples of ways of being comfortable with joy, because obviously this is all about being uncomfortable, and when we are uncomfortable, like we are able to move differently. So this is actually a paid offering, y'all. I feel like, this is how you know I'm living my life according to what feels good to me. Don't open with like, this is a paid thing, you can buy access to this or nothing. I'm like, this is what we're doing. If you want to know more information, let me know in the comments below, and we can talk about how they can give you access, because this is really more about us talking through what it's like for us to experience this as Black women leaders, more than really the system itself. Because at the end of the day, if you see the system at work, then you'll know how it works. I want you to know how these things work for yourself, whether you have this or not. So in the effort of that, in the spirit of that, here you go. So here are some examples that I shared in this particular section, a step of the self system, around examples of being uncomfortable with joy that you probably don't even think about or don't consider. Like, one of them here is being kind to yourself when things don't go your way. This is mad uncomfortable. Like, we have learned to judge ourselves so much when things don't go our way. We have learned to like throw a pity party for ourselves. We've learned to call somebody and vent, and like, we can't hold it. We can't sit with the fact that we did something and it didn't go our way, and that wasn't the end of the world. Like, we just tend to think that says so much about us and our sense of self-worth. So like, this was one that when I started to experience this and seeing how uncomfortable it was, I was quite surprised by, because I didn't really think it would be as uncomfortable as it turned out to be. What about you, Tiffany? What are some of one of these examples here, or your own, if you want to share?
Well, you already know the upper right is my situation. Doing what you love and trusting money will follow, which is wild, because I keep saying I've continuously, again, for 22 years, I've done the work that I love. And whenever it doesn't work for me anymore, I burn it down, which is wild. I think I'm getting too old to keep burning stuff down. This time. But, I realize you're really not ever burning it down. You're just not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. And so that is, people would say, doing what you love and trusting money will follow. You do that all the time. It's very uncomfortable. It's still very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. But I just refuse to work in a way that is like selling my soul for success. So I think that's the biggest one for me, to find joy in the part between when you make that decision and when it pops financially. Right. And so it's like, how can you know that every little thing is it popping? You don't have to wait until it's the big bag for it to pop. Like, the fact that you're able to do it, the fact that people are indulging, the fact that people like it, the fact that people are talking about it, the fact that people are saying yes to it, the fact that people keep inviting you, like all of those out of pop. But me, I allow, the joy to be drained if it's like, this is how I defined it, this is where the money reside, where the money reside.
Yeah.
There's that one. And then maybe also like aligning yourself with energy of joy and excitement. So yes, I pick work that I enjoy. But and this coach said this to me a while ago, a long time ago when I was actually getting my certification. She was my peer coach, and she said the problem with you is not that you don't do what you decide that you love. The problem is that you decide and then you still beat yourself up about it as if you didn't decide. So she's
Mhm.
like, what does it look like to decide and feel good about it, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like, oh, I canceled on them for dinner. This is just an example. I canceled on them for dinner, and then all day long you like, what they gonna think, or I feel so bad, or I shouldn't have, like, you might
Mhm.
as well have not canceled. You should have just went. You really didn't save yourself nothing if you're
Mhm.
going to obsess
Mhm.
over it all the time. So me, it's like you made the decision to make this jump. You love the difference of the thing that you're doing now. You haven't been an entrepreneur for 22 years because you did the same thing. You wouldn't have sustained if you did that.
Mhm.
Oftentimes when I say that, people think like, "Oh, you've been doing the same thing." No, I switched, and that's what probably has allowed it to sustain. So I know how this story goes, and I know that it's going to end up working out. So why not have joy in the journey every
Mhm.
piece of the way? So I find it interesting that they sit at opposite ends of each other,
Yeah.
and yet that they, yeah.
Mhm. That's good. That's Thank you for sharing that. The other one I would look at is releasing the energy of being a victim. I had a huge aha about this yesterday, actually, and I still keep processing it. Like, I was sitting with, obviously, I know about the energy of victimhood. It's in here. Like, it's part of the social system. We know we show up in that energy. The thing that happened yesterday the insight I had about it that really left me shook came from it came from this work I've been doing with the divine feminine energy. So like I told you, I'm sitting in my divine feminine energy. I'm like, she's off the hypermasculinity into my divine femininity is where I'm looking to go. So I've been sitting a lot with that energy and like, what does it mean? And what is like, how can I work with it? So I'm meditating on it. And yesterday I was talking to one of my friends, and when I'm talking to him, I share something. I get like this download, right? And I'm looking for the exact notes. I get this download. Here it is. And I tell him, like, hey, I realized that in order for me to live in the hyper masculine energy, in order for me to be so in my masculine, because I feel like I gotta be fixing things, I feel like I don't feel safe. I don't feel like I got somewhere where I could just go and unload and release and somebody gonna catch me, all of these other things. Like, because of that desire to be safe and all this other stuff, like I go into the hyper masculine. And in order for that to happen, I have to build that life on the foundation of being a victim.
Mm. Mm.
Now, that energy of victim, that energy of like, I need to be my hyper masculine. Why do I need to go to the hyper masculine? I go to the hyper masculine to overcompensate for what I have determined is lacking in my femininity.
Say more
So
about it.
So because when I'm in my feminine, when I'm like, okay, let me let things flow to me, or this is coming to me, this is coming to me. Well, I can't control that. Let me let that go. Because I've learned that that's not the way to be successful. I've learned that you need to make things happen. I've learned that
Yes.
you need to fight for it. You need to go and if somebody says no, or you need to like go and seek it out and like go and all these other things. I don't think that being in that softness, being in that receiver mode is enough. So if that's not enough, then what is going to be enough is being more in the masculinity of things, is being more in pushing my way through, and I got to protect myself, and I got to, fight for myself, and I have to go and do this for myself, because being a feminine and being in my femininity, my femininity, is not enough. If I
Mm.
believe it's enough, then I can sit in it. But if I don't believe it's enough, then I'm going to look into the hyper masculinity of it all. And that stems from that being a victim of not having enough. And that's not true, right? I haven't allowed myself to explore that because I've been living in the state that I have to constantly be fixing people's problems. I have to constantly be doing more. I have to constantly be making more money, and that's going to give me more accomplishments, and seeking all of these things out to look for that sense of safety. Meanwhile, that entire time I'm doing that, I'm living under this premise that I am a victim and something is lacking within me, and that who I am is not enough to materialize the things I desire without having to go into
That,
this hyper masculine mode.
that's wild and deep, and I think it's challenging. Am I freezing?
A little bit. You're freezing in and out a little bit.
I don't know why. I think it's challenging in the world we live in, you know, because it just makes you reassess everything. It feels like can feel like a risk. Like if I'm just gonna sit and wait, and things are gonna flow.
Well, it is. It feels like a risk because we have learned it to be a risky behavior
Yeah,
because we lived in a hyper masculine society, especially in the West.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, it does feel like a risk to, like, especially in the United States. This is a very individual. The United States rates really high in one thing: individualism. So because of that, this is like we're very entrepreneurial. The most millionaires and billionaires, I think a lot of them live in the U.S. Why? Because this is a culture where you can drive, you can like really, it's a very masculine energy in this country. So when we are here as women, especially as Black women, and we're competing, and we feel like we are competing in the space, and we're not thinking, oh, I am my own lane, I am a one of one. And we're thinking, no, we got to compete against the left and the right. And in the work, especially if you're not an entrepreneur, if you work a traditional 9 to 5, you definitely also feel like you are competing with the person next to you that may want that promotion, if that's only one promotion for the office in that one quarter or whatever it is. So we do operate in this very hyper masculine state, and a lot of us, we're the oldest daughter for most of us. We are also the one that gets called when things are going, whatever. We're the most college educated ones as well in our families. So people have a degree of like trust that we can fix their problem. So they bring us their problems all the
Yeah, and we
time,
take that on.
and we
We
take
take
it on.
I think. Hold on one second, y'all. So Nori, keep talking to the folks. Let me see if something's going on with my charger because I don't know why I'm freezing like this.
Okay. Well, Tiffany comes back. I want to just share more on these thoughts I've been having about the feminine energy and like victimhood, right? So now that I'm like, I want to tap more into my divine sorry. Now that I would like to tap into the balanced form of my divine femininity, I'm seeing how much I have been overacting or overperforming or over existing in my divine masculine energy. And what has been helping me see a lot of these things has been the presence of healthy divine masculine relationships in my life, especially with my friends. I have a lot of healthy the platonic relationship with my male friends. And the way my friends like look out for me and take care of me has been showing me how I don't have to be in the hyper masculinity around them. They actually really encourage me being in my divine femininity. So I'm just really seeing how the victim energy has been playing a big role in all of that. And it's been eye opening for me because I've honestly, and the thing about this conversation is they're going to get emotional, especially for me. I'll be crying. Tiffany, you back? You ready?
Okay,
Okay.
hopefully I'm not freezing it. Am I
You
not
better. You're better. You're
emotionally?
better.
Okay, great, great, great.
Yeah. So, like, right now, what I'm recognizing is like this life I've built for the past like 15, 20, 15 years, especially decisions I've made in the last 15 years, they were victim based decisions in a way, some of them, because I was living on the premise that there was something, I'm in the hyper masculine. If I made a decision from the hyper masculine space, is a victim based decision. So now I'm going to that foundation and reevaluating and determining, do I want to move like that? Is this a decision that still holds? And when I'm not in that victim energy, when I'm in my divine femininity from a balanced state, how do I move in that space? And can that still coexist where I am right now?
Yeah. I think some people will call it survival mode, right? Like when you
Yes.
think of survival mode, do you think of survive. It's a different way of being and thinking to consider surviving as masculine, because you think of surviving as human.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so you would think that for many people, especially Black people, that we didn't have the privilege to think about divine femininity and masculinity. Like slavery puts you in masculine energy. Period. You know what I mean? And not that any of us were slaves, but I mean poverty puts you in masculine energy. Get it out the mud is masculine energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if
Mm-hmm.
that trap or die is masculine energy.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
that means that's how I feed my family, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, lower needs not being met, it will then seem like a
Yeah.
privilege to be able to sit into feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it is definitely a challenge for me. Um, but I just try to seed it in small ways, like asking for help, saying when something
Yes.
bothers me,
Yes.
saying if something hurts my feelings, admitting that I have feelings, not having to act like I got to be a G about whatever all the time, especially if you're
Mm-hmm.
dressed up in the hoodies and basketball hats, you're just like, hey, I still need some help. Can you please help me? Open the door. Remember going on a date
Mm-hmm.
last year, and I was just accustomed to my door being opened now. This is a new thing, and that this is the standard now. And the guy was like, I gotta open it. You're not gonna get out the car. No, I'm not gonna get out. And then he just kept being over exaggerative, like every time he'd come to open the door, he'd like bow. And I was like, if that's what you gotta do to make yourself feel better about it. But even that, like if that's what you gotta do to make yourself feel better about it, is a little bit of my masculine energy, because it's
Yep.
like
Yep.
now that you don't want to do it, because
Yep.
I've become accustomed to this and I like it. And so I believe that this is
Mm-hmm.
how it should go and this is what I'm demanding. And so the fact that I'm demanding it puts me back in masculine energy,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't
Yeah.
have if you just would have accepted it and if you wanted to treat me, but treat me that way. But again, many have been conditioned to believe that that means that they're acting in feminine energy if they
Yeah. Yeah.
open the door, open every door. But actually, that is masculine energy. So there's sometimes
Yes.
men are over operationalizing in feminine energy, which then allows
Woo.
to, it forces you to get into your masculine energy. And the old me
Yeah.
would have been like, forget it, you don't have to do it. Da, da, da. And I was just like, sitting in the discomfort of like, oh, this is gonna be a
Yes.
long weekend, but it's gonna be all right. And then you're gonna
Yes.
make the doors,
Yes.
or I'm gonna sit in the car, I guess, or I guess I'm gonna sit in the house. And and you bowed all
Yeah.
weekend, and then we ain't talking no more, and that's also okay, because
Yeah.
this is what I desire, and it's fine.
I love that you bring that up, especially the door thing. Like, I have been on that energy too. Like, wanting the door to be open. I don't get the car unless the door gets opened, and letting that be the standard for me. I think
Yeah,
like this whole like shifting out of the I could do it, I could do it. If I could do it, let me just do it versus waiting for somebody else to do it. To like, no, I'm gonna wait. I'm not
listen.
about to rush to go nowhere real fast.
I got to
It's fine.
experience that
It's
that I don't
fine.
touch a bag, I don't touch a door, and I liked it. I was At first it was extra, and then I was like, oh, this is no, this
Hmm.
I
And
got
that's
to.
the crazy thing about this experience for me, Tiff, is like there was a time that being in that feminine energy was the norm. And now we're like, it's a privilege to think about it, right? So it's like the shift that has occurred at a societal level that is also required for us to be like, no, it may be that. And at the same time, I'm going to prioritize it because it is a decision to choose that and to be like, I'm going to let that trust. Because either way, you're going to be uncomfortable in life. You're going to be uncomfortable whether you're living a life that you desire or whether you're living a life that other people desire for you. So you get to decide how uncomfortable you're going to be at what part of the process.
Yeah.
So I feel like this reminder around discomfort is so like healing, especially for me, as I'm I like going through this as a student. It's actually really fun to like be mentored by yourself. If you have a vision for your own system, please do it and record the videos. I'm not even just talking to you because me and you are talking about doing that for your own system. Like just in general, like when you hear your own voice and you're like, damn, all right, I'm listening to this video today and I'm like, teach me, please. And I'm talking to myself. It's just so funny, but it's also so healing. And I feel like that level of being willing to say, oh, I had this realization that a lot of my foundational in my marriage was based on the victim energy. And that kind of was like, a little for me because I wouldn't have thought that. And at the same time, it's part of the reality because that's the space that I was in then. I was in the hypermasculine. So now I'm going from what does it look like to go from that hypermasculine space to still being a creative, still having like a business, but like how do I do that in my femininity? There are some things about that process I don't want to be the one to do. And that does not mean that I'm not a great business owner. It means that I want to stay in the pocket of my femininity. So even looking at when I focus on my business at a deeper level, the financials, the numbers, can I outsource that? And who can I outsource that to? Because let's be honest, that ain't my tea. That's not my testimony. Now you give me some creative design, you give me some art, you give me some vision stuff, you give me some inner guidance and healing. I could do it hands tied behind my back, eyes closed, everything. I could do it. As long as my ears are working, I can get it done.
Yeah.
But just the other stuff, it's like just being honest about maybe that's just not the thing I want to be doing, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I could be a boss without having to do that. Maybe my way of being a boss is I come, I talent, I leave.
I
like
come,
that.
I talent, I leave. Me love. Me love.
So, okay, there was an exercise to identify some examples, and we'll go look at that one now. Here we go. Okay. So I wrote down some examples. The beautiful thing about this being something that I created is that I use my examples to create it. So I'm like, oh, let me revisit that example. But I had some other ones I put up. So for me, here are my examples. Under yourself, I wrote down taking radical responsibility for my beliefs, feelings, and actions as the way that I'm going to focus on being uncomfortable honest. For the family, I put down aligning myself with the energy of joy, fun, and excitement. That's something that a lot going on in my family right now. I would like to focus my energy on that. For business, I put down doing what I love and trusting money will follow. For relationships, I put down being my boundaries. That's the area where that 7 that I saw earlier when I assessed myself, that's where I'm gonna come and bring it in. And this is how I start to think about how to leverage the self-trust system and what I'm learning into small actions that can help me move the needle for myself. And then under legacy, I put down sharing my wisdom. I put sharing my wisdom daily, but really sharing my wisdom, like not holding this insights that I have to myself and letting people like learn if they want to. For my finances, I put down surrendering to my husband's leadership. I feel like he will be better at, like, I'm really good at bringing in money. I'm also really good at like being talent. The challenge that I have often is managing and like sustaining resources. So I think that that's the area that he has a different level of expertise that I can just stop trying to make myself learn it and just like outsource it if I am focusing on the thing that I'm really good at. You and I talked about this the other day about how sometimes we're so focused, me particularly, I'm so focused on being so good at the things that I'm good at that I'm busy not being great at the thing I'm great at. And this is my way of like beginning to offload the things that I'm good at so I can be great at the thing that I am great at. So those were my examples for this part.
Yeah, mine were for yourself, it's like seeing myself through the eyes of others. So other people send me all these like just reading my recommendations on LinkedIn or recommendations anywhere. So just seeing myself through their eyes, taking the amazing things that they say that I've done as 100 absolute truths. So when I'm down on myself, reading that and not being like, they just said that because they like me. They just said that because they like, no, like taking that as the truth. So there's that. Family, it looks how it's supposed to. So, I grew up not in a two-parent home. I grew up wanting a two-parent, to provide a two-parent home. I was married for many years, but divorced. So just saying the family looks exactly how it's supposed to. My business, money will come from doing exactly what you love. Relationships, just allowing people to be who they are. So not attaching what it needs to look like. Legacy for me is going for it all, like dominating, going big, and knowing that I want the legacy to be like household name. Household name. And for finances, it is the willingness to start where I am. So again, I talked about how I've made all these jumps, and this new into sport, like sport currently doesn't pay like corporate did, and that can definitely send me back to that can definitely send me back to, oh, I better go back over there. And it's just like, no, allowing yourself to not demand what corporate paid to come on day one from sport. I'm like, they got money, and it's like, yeah, but you're new to this arena, so allow yourself to be new to
Mhm.
this arena.
Mhm.
And that's very difficult because it can. The story I'm telling myself is that it's moving backwards, but if it picks
Mm.
up far more, then is it actually moving backwards?
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, good. You wrote those down, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I was gonna call her out, y'all. Look at Nori book. She got a reading a Bible over there. You see how many, how much y'all think her
But
book
you know
is?
what's crazy? This is my journal, y'all.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah, and this is mine. You see how much of mine is written on versus not? Oh wait, see how much of mine is written on versus not. And then y'all see hers. She got a little purple line, like somebody grandma Bible. She in that thing. Every I'm like everything she wrote a answer for. Oh yeah, I skimmed. But you know what's funny? When we first met, if you were to look at my house right now, my entire cabinetry in my kitchen is filled with books, and they're color coordinated. So it's like a little art thing up there. And when I went to her house, or maybe I just saw it on Zoom initially, I was like, "Oh, you have that book? Or you have that book? We have almost all the same books." And she would go in deep and be talking about all the things in the book. I said, "Oh, you read all the books I skimmed, right?" And so that's how I feel about this process. I'm like, "Dang, she got a note for everything." Now I did write these down because there was blanks, but all of that, she's like, "Yeah." And then I wrote YP because I'm queer. Oh, hecky no. Maybe that's a Libra thing. I don't know.
You know what I mean? You know, the thing is, like I said, I'm gonna bring the same energy. I'm bringing the same energy. So like
That's
I'm on
hilarious.
my I
I
could I,
see.
I could be a star student. That's the thing. I'm really good at that. Like that giving me a golden star. I look, I all these achievements I got is for a reason. You put me a little golden star, I'll go and do it. I'll read the
That's
book, I'll do my
hilarious.
assignment. I'm like, I'll do my homework and make sure I get my stuff in.
And
Um
my male energy trauma response is like, forget y'all and y'all gold stars. I did it is what it is. You get what you get. I
it
did
is
what
it
I
is
felt
it is what it is. One of the things that after this, the next thing was talking about discomfort in the body. Um, so for this, I'm curious on for you. Did you get a chance to use, for the discomfort in the body? What was the situation that you want to focus on this month? For me, I'll go first. Is I want to release judgment for my decisions to interact with certain people. Like I've made some decisions to interact with certain people, and um, those people, the outcomes may be challenging and uncomfortable. So this month, I want to focus on releasing the judgment for my decision to interact with people, no matter what the outcome of our interaction was.
like. Was that under the Let It Go? Is that where you put that?
No, this was under this moving discomfort in the body. So this we've talked about this before. Discomfort gets stored in the body because it's an energy, and we
Mm-hmm.
talked about specifically the body keeps the score. Being
Mm-hmm.
a book that dives into that insight. So if y'all want to nerd out about um, how discomfort and lives, how energy lives in the body, because energy, I mean, emotions are energy in motion.
Mm-hmm.
So emotions take a hold of the body. They pocket themselves in the body. That's how you know how to react in certain situations or respond or how you feel. Be like, yeah, I feel like it was just yesterday. Why? Because somewhere in their body that yesterday is right there. And
Yeah.
they could just tap into it. So part of this uh part of this step is knowing how to move that energy out of your body so that it doesn't live there. So there's a section there called moving the discomfort out of the body or in the
Yeah.
body. And then he had like a breakdown on how you can do it. So the first thing to do is to pick a situation that you want to go and look at the energy to release it. So my
Yeah.
situation is going to be to release around judgment for my decision to interact with people. So anytime I've been going to a lot of people in my life that have been coming in and out and have had different impacts. So I'm noticing that I've been judging myself for letting those people in the first place, or for the way I'm interacting with those people, or the way I interacted with those people, and what I want to do in those situations. And it's a collection of situations, so I have a few different ones I'm going to be working with, but that's the umbrella, is to release the judgment for what the outcome was. I can't control the outcome. That's got to work. That's trusting the unfolding of divine discomfort and intervention. So really, that's going to be the thing I'm going to focus on, releasing judgment for the way I interacted with people and the way I perceive I did it.
Fair. So in my defense, this section of the workbook doesn't have a little box. So I thought this was just reading. So there was no place for me to put an answer. But I did think through this. And so I more so thought about like, where does the discomfort settle in my body when I was reading this? And it settles in my shoulders. So the way I read this was, when I feel that, I'm going to be cognizant of what is causing me discomfort in the moment. Um, and the example in here, at least from what I saw, unless I'm looking at the wrong place, was about 3 deep breaths. So that is kind of my go-to
Yeah.
anyway. And so I do 3 deep breaths, but I've actually been teaching this to the athletes that I've been working with, on how, when they are encounter something, whether it's a bad call or a missed shot, or a crazy fans, like, what is going to be their thing. And so they have been coming up with a word. So I do 3 deep breaths. My word is just peace. And then I also taught them to do something physical, just so that they had a multitude of things that they could do. So 3 deep breaths is my go-to. My word is peace. And then I have a tattoo on my arm that says freedom. And so my thing is like,
I love that.
literally tap in order to just shake it off, because yeah, I believe the body does keep score. And it is not just, we know that, because, we'll talk about something uncomfortable, and then have you really visualized that? And people can always say, well, where did you feel it? I felt it in my stomach, or my head was spinning, or I felt it in my shoulder. So that's our proof that the body keeps score. And so in order to learn to move that energy so that you can release it, those are my three, like 3 deep breaths, say the word peace.
Got it. Perfect. I like that you had a range, because that's the beautiful thing about going through the system. Once you have been in the game for a while, is that by then it's like you're looking at your toolkit, and you're looking at, right, I have this tool, I have this tool, I have this tool, and depending on the situation, I lean into whatever it is that makes the most sense for me. Because sometimes you may only have capacity for like taking 3 breaths. Sometimes you may have capacity just to do this. Sometimes you may have capacity to go through the entire process outlined in the step. Because in the step itself, in the moving discomfort in the body, there's 4 parts of it. So you start with the discomfort. You pick a situation, a feeling, a situation that's feeling uncomfortable for you, so you can move to a specific situation. Then you go into the grounding using the breath. Then you create your desired reality by visualizing the interaction, if there's an interaction with somebody. So in the context of like, if you're talking to a parent, for example, you envision what you say to that parent or that client. Or for like Tiffany, for you with the kids or with the athletes, it would be more like them envisioning how they want the crowd to react, or things like that, or their teammates or the coach, and then letting it go by expressing gratitude for it, being grateful for learning and for growing, and choosing that whatever happens is happening for the greatest unfolding, with that acceptance and surrender. So that's a way that I'm going to be moving through it this month. That I'm going to be leveraging specifically that strategy to like master it, and to like really understand, where do I get caught up, if anything, and like grow and learn from it.
So I would force myself to pick a thing. Then I would say delivering, communicating things that I feel like someone else may be uncomfortable with.
That's a good one.
That would be the thing that I would choose. And yeah, my desired reality, I'm realizing. So you just said visualizing how they would like the crowd to be. I don't, because I think like,
that was an example. You would know better if it's the crowd, or if it's the coach, or if it's their players.
Yeah, whoever. I just think that we don't have any control over them. So my reality just be how I respond to it. Like that's what we've been
Mhm.
trying to is like, what is your response? So like it don't matter what they're gonna do because they're gonna do what they're gonna do, but what do I want? So if I'm recognizing that my normal thing is tighten my shoulders, then this to me is already like
Mhm.
my reality is what I want for my life. So you missed,
Mhm.
and then the crowd says something. This for me or this for them is like, okay, now I'm gonna go back and run. I'm back on defense. I'm sprinting up the court. I'm about to come in,
Mhm.
dunk that thing. And
Yeah.
so for me, it's like, the re-envisioning or visualizing is about the
Love it.
desired outcome that I want instead of my go-to habitual pattern response.
Love it. Love it. What I like about that, what I think is important to like like about what you just shared is that there are different ways to get there, right? Like
Mhm.
everybody is learning about themselves, and then you apply the thing that you learn. When I'm visualizing and I look at what how the people are reacting, part of that helps me release the attachment or the fear that I'm gonna say something and it's gonna be a reaction that's gonna do something, and that may lead me to being in a sense of paralysis, analysis paralysis. So
Yes.
if you're experiencing that type of situation, I do think like this, I would recommend visualizing being a calm situation, because then your brain doesn't know if it's happening right now or if it's happening 100 years from now or yesterday or 50 years ago. So you're literally letting your brain know when we are in this situation, here's how we're going to respond. Here's like, I'm physically going to be calm and I'm going to be relaxed. They're calm, so I'm calm and I'm relaxed. So even if like they're not that in the moment, you already practiced that. So you can like tap into it. It's kind of like when the players be practicing the shots and visualizing themselves doing the shot over and over again, whether it's tennis or basketball or any sport, and then they get in there and they just continue making the shots. So even though like Steph Curry talks about this, like even if he makes the first 30, 40 shots and they don't go in, he just keeps on making shots because he knows he's gonna start making shots at some point and it's gonna be off. So that's more the context of that when
I
I'm
mean,
talking about that element on how I leverage it and how I lean into it.
yeah.
One thing, some quotes I wrote down that were really speaking to me was self trust is not. If self trust is not the thing that we say in silence, it's who we are in public.
Mm.
I was like, ooh, okay, much. And another one I put down was facing discomfort with compassion is a form of self love. A lot of us are really low on self compassion sometimes, and that's also why we are low on grace. And I tend to be really high on self compassion, which I also think is why I'm so high in grace too in general. And that reminder that like this is self love. Like we're really good at receiving tough love.
Mhm.
Compassionate love is one that we are really stretched by. So just the idea of like I'm being compassionate myself, that stood out to me. And then I wrote down the judgment is the reactive pattern. So anytime for me, I feel like I'm gonna go into judgment mode, whether it's oh why you do this or why you do that, versus it's done. What did you learn about it?
Mhm.
Anything outside of what did we learn about it?
Yeah.
Anything outside of what did we learn about it is that reactive pattern. So that was one note for me. Another thing that I put down was when you reflect, you can reframe. That was another quote that I heard myself saying, like just not the in between, the in between. So I thought that was really really helpful for me. Any quotes or things like that you want to share or anything that stood out?
The one that was for me, we didn't really talk about where it talked about the conditioned self versus the.
Yes. Ooh,
I
let's talk
think
about
that for me,
that.
that was it. It was like, what is the highest being? What is the most free being of Tiffany doing? And so it said, like, you cultivate the skill of allowing ease to flow by patiently being the authority in your own life. And I think that for
Mhm.
me, that is about self trust. That is like, I don't have to be like, am I right? Did I make the right decision? Am like when you're the authority in your own life, then you're right because it's you. And again, we've been taught that that's like that could be considered selfish, or that
Mhm.
we should concede, or we should consider other people's perspectives, and we should, but we shouldn't allow it to outweigh our own. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you're unbending, but you gotta trust you before you want anybody else to trust you. You work for somebody or you own your own business. You want your clients to trust you. You got to trust you first. So just being the authority in my own life, not always abdicating, not always abdicating responsibility for my decisions. It's a lot easier for you to allow somebody else to make the decisions for you, and that is not just because you
Hmm.
are not assertive or because you're being kind. It's because you want somebody else to blame if it go wrong.
Yep. Talk
so
about it. Talk
so being
about
the
it.
authority in your own life is it means that you own it fully, and that's not bad. It's just if you make a mistake, you have the ability and the capacity to rebound from it. And is it a mistake or did you learn? And that's standing in discomfort
Yep.
um, because we want to get it right. We feel like getting it wrong could waste time, and there's things you can do for sure. Ask subject matter experts, and I guess none of this is like an absolute. But if we're looking at it from a what should be your default, your go to, it should be that you're the authority in your own life. Because oftentimes we give it away and then we complain about what the other people did.
And then we're gonna do the thing we're gonna do anyway from the beginning.
Yeah, or if you
And I
don't, then if it goes wrong, you blame someone else. And it's just like at least if I mess it up, I mess it up myself.
This is and this here again. You guys are if you're seeing this as an outsider, right? Like some of these pieces may not make sense to you, and obviously it's because this is part of like an entire ecosystem, and we're starting where it makes the most sense for us. So we're purposely not starting on here's the beginning of this. We're starting like here's what makes most sense for us because this is where we are. And that's the thing about self trust. Like you get to decide what you are most going to be helpful by in the moment and do that. And that's what we have done in this process. And we're just basically bringing you along the way. And you can be like a fly in the wall or a person in the comments and just be like, oh, this is how people that are have built multi six figure business. In Tiffany's case, she's been a millionaire. So like, and seeing how she has navigated that and come back through all of these different things. So I think you just get into see real time, like how have powerful women that are leaders in their community that are also evolving and growing both in business and in life, trusting themselves through that process. That's really what the biggest takeaway with this is. And this is some of the things that we're going through material wise as we're going through this process. So yeah, integrating a lot about discomfort. This is the first part. When it comes to integration, discomfort is right there. It's the one that opens the door. It's who greets you at the welcoming committee. So
Yes, yes.
if you're
You
gonna
took
integrate, discomfort is the one that's like, come in, thank you for coming.
Yes, you
And
want us to
does
be
your
a part of who you are. And you saw it physically just now. She said she's been a millionaire. I just said, because the first thought that comes, like, I ain't no more, so let's not talk about it. And people, what happened? Like, oh, God. So even that is just like sitting in the discomfort of like, oh, how about that's joyful, like you have, and that's your
Mhm.
do it again. And so instead of leaning against the wall, just like, yep, we ready. Like, we ready for it to pop off again. And now we can do it with more ease and more joy and in a way with the work that really, really lights you up. And my
Mhm.
whole thing has always just been making impacts with your income. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
perfectly positioned to do it again.
I love that you catch yourself and like just call it for what it is because it really do be the energy like oh yeah but and it's like we
Eddie
did
Bennett
it.
talking
Who did
community.
it? Did we or did we not do it? We did
We
it. Okay,
did
we did it.
coaching. Yeah.
What one thing I do want to like talk a little about was my like the challenges. So like these are the three challenges that come up when we are in this energy and experiencing this particular approach with this process. So one being reactive versus responding. Number two being avoiding acknowledging your contribution. And number three, facing unmet expectations. Which one do you think is the loudest for you right now?
I think that it is reacting versus responding. I talked about the Leo energy, where we just say off the cuff. Impulse control is not a real thing. So I think that most challenging because it's the one I work the hardest on. I work very hard to respond and not react. Again with the student athletes that I work with, we work on determining what the response to adversity will be before it gets here so that when it comes, we're already prepared for it. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not going to feel away, but we've already felt, we've simulated what that feeling is, and so we are like, all right, this is how we're going to respond to it.
Mhm.
You still had that feeling, but you know that you have your response prepared, and then it's not out of alignment with your values, right? 'Cause
Mhm. Mhm.
reacting is usually out of alignment with your values, leaves you with regret.
Mhm.
Responding doesn't allow for that. The feeling doesn't go away, but you feel, you can sit in it and feel good.
Mhm. Mhm. The one for me right now is facing unmet expectations. I think this one is all about like reparenting yourself and being able to see, give yourself the thing that you needed as a kid that you may find in other people. And I mean, noticing like that's a lot of where that's the one that I have been working at the least. So I'm very easy to see my reactive patterns versus responsive. I'm also when I look at like acknowledging my contributions, I can very easily be like, all right, here's all the ways in which I contribute to my situation. This facing unmet expectations, though, it's one that kind of just falls to the background that I don't really even think about, and that's the one where it's like, here's how the child self is feeling, here's how your teen self is feeling, here's how the unsafe part of you is feeling. Bring her into that safety, give her whatever it is that you wanted and needed in that moment so that she can feel safe and grounding that safety from within. That to me right now is like the biggest challenge, especially as I'm also reparenting my own parent.
Mhm.
So that's what the one that I would say I am stretched by the most, and I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to as we're going through this process, because part of this process is we know what the thing is. Now we can utilize the information we've gathered to really hone in our ability to move through these things and do it with ease and do it with joy. So it's really exciting stuff. There was a question about what's the most joyful part of seeing your part in situations. Did you answer that?
See, no, I didn't. So I stopped after the discomfort part. So tell me, what does it say?
Oh, the question was, what's the most joyful part of seeing your contribution in situations?
Oh, I think again, I love self awareness. I think self awareness is a win. I don't want nobody. When my kids do something at school, I tell them, don't let nobody come tell me nothing about you. You tell me about you. Like, what's the part that you can own? Like, if I was an insurance agent, you'd be like, how many jobs you have? All of them. And so say I was an insurance agent, and even if somebody rear-ended you, we talked about partial liability. So there was, if you was not rear-ended, we say you was still 5% at fault. Why? I don't know. It probably
Mhm.
wasn't the right thing. But I teach a lot about accountability and how it is the opposite of blame. So when we're looking for someone else to blame, um, it has an inverse response
Mm.
with accountability. And so I'm always looking for how I can be better. Like, what part am I responsible for? Almost to a fault, maybe, because I think it gives other people a pass a lot. It gives, because
Mm.
I'm looking for so much of it, and maybe that's to avoid the discomfort, or maybe that's the, a trauma response from being blamed a lot, and so then you're looking for to see, what could I have done? What could I have done?
Mhm.
It creates such a beautiful opportunity and willingness to be coached. I don't have shame around if someone's, says you did something, I can totally admit it, and I'll be like, oh, my apologies, or I'm sorry if that wasn't my intention. Here was my intention, but since it made you feel that way,
Mhm.
I can own that it made you feel that way. One thing I hate is when people be like, I'm sorry you felt that way. Like, you can't be sorry for my feelings. Like, that's actually not an apology, right? So that finding joy and taking responsibility is an easy thing for me.
Mhm. I love it. For me, I think the most joyful part, I wrote down a bunch of things, and then at the end, I just wrote down, I like feeling lighter.
Because it's not on you. So
Because it's there's a what I think I have been thinking there was a weight that I feel a weight, right? If I'm in a situation and I'm seeing my part, there is a weight to that part. But the weight to the part was the avoiding of, this is my part, this is what comes for taking that part. Here are the outcomes that came from taking that part. It is what it is, we just gotta do it, we gotta do it. And now because we can't control it, it's already done, there's
yeah.
a weight that comes with that. and that avoidance is really, really heavy. So when I look at my part, I feel lighter because I'm willing to see it's actually not that crazy. And at the end of the day, life goes on. We are on a floating rock, and there's all sorts of stuff going on in the world right now. And I'm not about to be stressing myself on Obama's internet in a floating rock. Like, no, we're not doing that. I'm not doing
Yeah.
that.
As you speak, I think the other reason why that probably is really keen for me is because I'm a perfectionist in recovery. I think you never actually get out of it. And so when you have leaned so much into perfection, um, and you don't want to do that anymore, I think it's just the willingness to know that perfection is not a real story.
Mm-hmm.
So you're chasing an elusive thing. People are like, I'm a perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist. They think it's like so fancy. Like you face it. You chasing a myth. So
Yeah.
the responsibility part is just like nobody is perfect. Everybody got some responsibility in this thing, whatever that thing is. So the
We all got some shit going on. We all got some shit going on. Like the person that you admire the most, the person that you're like, I would trade everything to have that person's life. I guarantee you, there's at least one thing that you would be like, I am good.
they say if we all dropped our problems on the floor, you would pick yours back up real quick. Never
I'm
mind.
good. I'm good. You're like, I don't want that, and I can see that for you because I can see that for me. Okay, so the way we're gonna do this, Tiff, if we're figuring it out real time. Um, because this is discomfort this week, we're focused on in discomfort, and then we'll start. I think this week we'll go the next week and we'll do the exercise of being in the discomfort energy, and then next week we'll prepare for it the following week. That way we have a week where we go through the material, we talk through the material, then we go and do the exercise of being in that energy, and then the following week we read again for the next week to go and execute on it. What do you think
Sure.
about that?
I
You like
like it.
that?
Works.
Okay, so for this, we'll do a daily discomfort practice, and that's to do one thing that helps us be uncomfortable with joy every single day. Like, pick one thing. It doesn't have to be big. We talked about examples for the different areas of our lives that we want to do. Like, I know for me, I put down doing what I love and trusting money will follow under a business. I can create a bunch of uncomfortable tasks around that, or I could just do each day. I'm gonna do. There's five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's six things, so you can pick one under each day to do one thing that helps you be in that energy of being discomfort. A tactical practical thing that we can incorporate in right now could be our cold showers. So like I've talked about cold showers in my containers before with my clients and how helpful it is to utilize it as a mental tool to help you move through things. But also your body has a parasympathetic system, and the parasympathetic system really appreciates exposure to cold. So there are many layer benefits to this. Y'all can all research it on your own. You can go talk to your Chapita, your Google, Gemini, whomever, Claude, whoever AI you be talking to, they could give you a comprehensive report as to why cold exposure and cold showers are helpful. There's this guy also, Wim Hof, which is how I got into them. He is like this crazy dude that be doing he'd be like cold mountains doing marathons and stuff, exposing himself to cold temperatures and the benefits of that. I'm not there, but that's something else you can play with. Like this week you can choose to do like one cold shower or like one cold exposure experience. I was at the spa this past weekend. One of my sorors was in town and she's like, I want to see you. I want to go to the spa. So we doing spa day. Girl, why I went to the spa and I'm like, oh, might be cute to do a little cold plunge if I'm at the spa. Why I cold plunge 3 times?
Yeah.
3 times. And I just was like, my body needed it. My body was like, go and get some warmth and come back. And I did it. And it felt good to do it. It was very uncomfortable. And that's the type of stuff you got to be willing to do. It's like getting to really uncomfortable situations for your own inner training, for your own self-unlearning and learning. So cold showers, if you want to do one this week to challenge yourself, or expose yourself to cold temperatures. That's something else I've been doing. I go walking in the cold and just have like a lighter layer so that I could be a little cold and just be okay in the cold. Something to play with. Something to play with.
And if you're an athlete, cold bath, ice baths.
Come on. That's your realm. I know. I don't do no ice bath. Maybe I could get an ice bath thing going.
Oh,
I
you
feel like
did one when you did a cold plunge. If you did it at a spa, they get to pretty Arctic temperatures.
no, they get pretty cold. Like the first cold plunge I did in 2022, I could hear the water before I got in the water. I could hear the water sizzling before I got in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be like an exercise for the week, is to do one thing that be uncomfortable with joy daily, and just keep track on what are the things that we are doing, and we can like recap it when we come back and link up. Last thing for us is just, what was your biggest takeaway from Discomfort by Design?
We do what we say we will. I guess that's the biggest thing. I didn't come on here to get on no camera and talk to y'all for no 1 hour and 44 minutes and 45 seconds. We do what we say we will. So it's lived. It's not talked about.
Yeah. Okay, so I think for next time we meet up, where are we gonna go in the self-trust system? So we started with Discomfort by Design, because this actually felt like the correct place to start, to be honest. And you assess yourself. So from your assessment, where do you want to go next? I have a place where we could go next, and then I want to hear where you want to go next, and we can determine what makes the most sense for us.
Maybe it's make powerful decisions with joy. That's what I'm thinking. But what are you thinking?
Okay, I was thinking boundaries, or I was thinking taking responsibility as well. But I'm flexible, so if you want to go to making decisions with joy, we can go there, because now what we can do is we can apply that to help us to strengthen the decisions we're making through the discomfort.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that's the way I want. I think that's what it's. We don't have to choose the same one. I guess we can talk about it. So it's up to you. I mean,
I think there's value to picking the same one, because then we can see the different patterns with one, and we are in no rush. So
yeah, if you're not tied, then I would say my powerful decision is that we go to making powerful decisions with joy.
All right, we will go to making powerful decisions with joy. That is going to be the next step we're going to focus on, and this is step number 3. This is step number 3. So we'll go to step number 3 for next time, and then we'll just do like that every week. We'll pick the next week that makes the most sense for us, so we can take it from there. All right, sister, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for being so willing to share and open.
The awareness, the knowledge, the resources. Y'all got to see some of the slides and hear us talking, but there's nothing like actually going through the system, having it be a way of being. There's actually how you can identify where you are in the system, all the things. So it's not a moment, it's a movement. So tap in with Nori, understand how you can get access to it, because it really is life changing. Again, self-awareness is the first tenet in emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence will take you much further than IQ, cognitive intelligence, any day, because it determines how you respond to the things that we face, and life be life. And so we need
life. If y'all want parts of this, just type self-trust system in the comments, and we'll take it from there, because it's really like you want it, you don't. This is really the energy I'm on. This is what my divine feminine energy is like. So if you desire to tap into that, and maybe come in here and talk to us while we're doing our thing, if you want to, at some point that you may choose to join, then let me know. Type self-trust system in the comments, and I will highlight you, and we can talk about how you can get access to the self-paced experience, so you can start having your breakthroughs right away. So thank you, Tiffany, for joining today, and we will see y'all next week for making powerful decisions with joy, which is what we're going to be talking about in the next live session. So that's going to be Tuesday at like 9 something Eastern something. I'll put it up. I'll put the details up. I promise. Thank you very much.